What's up, guys? I'm Crystal Lee Naomi, aka Jasmine Borders on Tyler Perry's Sisters. Be sure to subscribe to the Haves and the Have-Nots review for not only reviews on the Haves and the Have-Nots, but also on Sisters. And while you're at it, give your girl a follow on Instagram at Crystal Lee Naomi. And I'll see you every Wednesday at 9, only on BET.
All right, Sistas fans. So, yeah, if you follow me on Twitter and you were seeing me live tweet last night, which I had a great time doing, by the way, and if you watched my live stream on the channel last night, which I started around 9:57, basically right when the finale was getting ready to wrap up, then you know I was not that big of a fan of this episode, and I'm giving it one of the lowest scores I've ever given any episode of any series that I review. And I woke up this morning thinking, well, what if I watch the episode again? Like, would I be in the same mindset? But I opted not to because the episode was just that bad. So, folks, I did rewatch a couple of scenes, but I didn't watch the entire episode again for a second time. And after just thinking about it a lot, I will confirm that this episode of Sisters, in my opinion, -2 out of 10. I feel like I've given a negative score before. It was probably for like a House of Pain episode of Sister Living, but I feel like I've given a negative score before, but this episode was just so bad on so many levels. I feel like I'm probably going to do a separate video about why the season 2 finale was a flop. So I'll talk about certain elements in this review. To be honest, that should have been like the episode review in itself, just doing a video talking about everything about why this episode was bad, like why everything went wrong. Looking at my notes, I barely have over half a page of notes for this episode because nothing truly happened that was significant aside from like the last 15 seconds. But even still, that last scene of Jasmine in the bedroom, and I'm not feeling like I'm spoiling anything by jumping ahead. I called that last week. I've done plenty of sister videos between last week and this week, so you know that based on the trailers, how everything is framed, that was going to be the finale. The cliffhanger of the finale. I just felt like the biggest sin in my book of this entire episode was that so many characters were just acting not like themselves for the sake. I mean, remember during the season finale of House of Pain season 9, right? It was season 9, right? Not 10, because they're filming 10. Basically, the finale of the first season of the House of Pain quote unquote reboot on BET. And remember when we talked about that finale, it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? It's like, why is Ella acting extremely out of character? Like, she's being super intrusive, more so than usual. It's like these characters don't feel like the same people we've been watching this season, even though this season was a mess. At least the characters were semi-consistent. But in the finale, it felt different. But then we found out that the episode was actually written by someone else, and it showed. So I'm like, sources do say that this episode was written and produced by Tyler Perry. So I don't know what he was thinking in this finale, because it feels like there was no thought into this episode whatsoever. So with that being said, I'll link the intro, because like I said, this episode is really nothing to talk about. I can literally break it down in like 4 different segments and it won't take long. But make sure you take a moment to hit that subscribe button, especially if you're a person who frequently watches the channel but you've never subscribed. Or on the flip side, if you've been subscribed for a long time, look down to double check to make sure you still are, because some people have been telling me YouTube has been unsubscribing them. So just double check. It will only take a second. Hit that subscribe button. Also hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Look, just because you may have disliked the video like me, it doesn't mean you have to dislike this video. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description box below. Join in the Facebook group for Sisters. I need to double check that to see. Oh, thank you to my admins, because there were 0 pending posts, so I guess that means everything got approved. Thank you, because I didn't notice it until like 11 o'clock. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even check the group during the episodes. I don't know if there were like 1,000 posts waiting for me to approve, but you all did a great job of handling that for me. We are currently at 139,000 members. That's phenomenal. And finally, hit the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content on the channel. Now, even though everybody, myself included, was waiting to see what would go down in the grocery store scene of the episode, essentially just the opening scene of the episode, I felt that this scene was too long. I felt that this scene made no sense in context. And Zach was just being dragged by everyone this episode for no good reason. I can't believe what I was seeing. I feel like what's even worse than that is how Danny has been a fan favorite this entire season. She was the sister that stood out. I remember in that first episode, like, you know, just seeing it. Look, everybody's been commenting, congratulating her on, like, you know, her weight loss and stuff. That she beautiful. Hey, that. It is what it is. I'm referring to the character herself. Like in that first episode, just the way she was coming off, the demeanor and whatnot. She was just fed up with everybody's bullshit and she was telling it like it is. It worked. But in this episode, we went back to that season 1 Danny that would run her mouth to the point that it's like, would you shut up? Danny had no right to stand up there and air out everybody's business. I was thinking to myself, there needs to be a call on the intercom. Clean up on aisle 7. Danny's, you know, spilling everybody's tea. I'm like, this was so... Why is Fatima up there apologizing? I mean, I get the fact, like, hey, girl, we all starting to get close. I didn't know I was messing around with your ex and whatnot. Okay, in a way, I semi-understand that, but I'm like, I don't even know if I can get through this review because this scene itself just frustrated the hell out of me. I even tweeted, I'm like, Zach needs to take that juice, go to the self-checkout and go wait in the car. Like, there's no reason. And he was telling you, look, we ain't got to explain nothing to them. This ain't none of their business. Let's just go. But Fatima, and then Danny's like, no, this is awkward. We need to, and it's like, Fatima's like, I don't like to sit in awkward. It's like, we need to sell this now. For what? What do you owe Karen? Not a damn thing. How many times have Zach been the annoying one in this situation and Karen outright said, Zach, I don't owe you anything. I'm with Aaron now. Leave me alone. So why do you feel like you have the right to, sell it right now? And Andy and Sabrina are there like, oh shit, this is so. And Fatima's like, Andy, I didn't know. I'm sorry. And it's like, what are you apologizing for? I was Zach in that situation. Like, I agree. Like, bro, what the hell are they doing? This makes no sense whatsoever. It makes no sense whatsoever. And again, just Danny kept going on and on and on. And I'm like, girl, shut the hell up. This ain't got nothing to do with you. Then on top of that, I don't even know what to say. I really am just at a loss for words. I'm sorry if this review doesn't seem as, clean cut as I usually do it, but I'm feeling these feelings that I was last night because this scene was so frustrating to watch because it made no sense in context. So Fatima and Zach eventually leave, and Karen's all pissed off, and it's like, Karen, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. And she just walks off, and then it's like, wow. So they end up leaving. So then we go over to Fatima and Zach. It's an awkward ride home. Zach's like, so are we going to talk about it or what's going on? So essentially, Fatima decides, you know what? I can't have you live with me. And then Zach's like, wait, what? Okay. I was on Team Zach, but I will admit we were seeing a little bit of that immature Zach from season 1 where he's trying to make light of the situation where it's like, in context, like I was with you. It's like, well, we weren't dating. I'm like, yes, that's right. Because in the grocery store, they even bring up Karen's like, oh, so y'all dating? It's like, wait, are we dating? It's like, no, we ain't. It's like, yeah, that's right. We aren't. So it's like one moment. Here's another question for you. Fatima, for the most part, has always had Zach's back. She's always given Zach the benefit of the doubt. Yet in this situation, you leave him hanging high and dry. See what I mean about these characters not acting like themselves? Like, I've been saying this before the finale even aired. Go back to all those sister videos I did over the past week. I'm like, season 3's happening. They've already filmed it. It was renewed for season 3, like 3 or 4 episodes into season 2. I know when the finale rolls around, because it feels like a lot of these characters haven't really moved forward at all. It's like they're regressing. My fear is that Tyler Perry is going to have these characters regress even further back just for the sake of making the story continue into the next season. So You got Fatima saying that, well, it's better than I now. It's better than I know now than later. What do you mean? Basically, I guess she says like, well, it's better than I know you would step out on me now, as opposed to like later on if we're in a relationship. If I were Zach, I'd be like, you know what, just drop me off right here. I'll walk home. I'll figure out my own way because I ain't got time. I'm not going to sit up here and deal with this. This was some bullshit. This was some straight up bullshit. It's like all the characters I was rooting for, all the characters who were like my favorites of the season, I could not stand their asses at all in this episode. This made no sense to me whatsoever. Okay, so then we have another brief scene of Maurice. We're over at Maurice and Calvin's place. I could have done without this scene. Maurice catches Calvin smiling and looking at Sabrina's online profiles, and, you know, he misses her, and Maurice suggests being big and bold, taking charge of the situation, going over Sabrina, and, you know, he goes into one of his rants. You need to choke her, put her up against the wall. It's like, hey, calm down, calm down. Here's my biggest thing. I understand Calvin like semi reminiscing because it's the same day that they pretty much, you know, cut ties all together. But at the same time, it's like Maurice has been up here preaching the entire season. Look, I'm tired of hearing all this mess. Like, you want to call him? I mean, basically, Sabrina's like, you want to call him? And then to Calvin, you want to call her? Well, if you want to call. If not, just leave it alone. You're both adults. Just move on. But then all of a sudden, it's like, you know what? I think you should go talk to her. Now, you can make the argument, well, Jeremy, maybe it's not necessarily Maurice acting out of character. Maybe it's Maurice feeling bad because technically he was the one that made the assumption about Calvin, then told Sabrina. Then that's when she lashed out at him. So now he's maybe trying to right that wrong. However, even before this happened, he was saying the entire season, y'all need to move on. Okay. It's just because Calvin's sitting up here feeling sorry for himself. It's like, you know, I don't think she's going to take me back. It's like, the things I said to her. Calvin did nothing wrong. Sabrina was the one that left him that nasty voicemail. Sabrina was the one that told him off at the bank, basically accused him of being a liar. It's like, look, if you were like bisexual or gay, you should have told me instead of being honest with me. It's like, hey, at least I'm true to myself and I know who I am while you don't. Just like Zach, Calvin did not do a fucking thing wrong. But for whatever reason, it was written that he was the one that needed to apologize. So we go over to the sisters. Andy's driving. They're all going home. Let me just jump ahead a bit. Instead of going back to Andy's place, you know, because they're all just going to sit, drink wine, eat snacks, and chill. They all want to be dropped off at their respective houses. Here we go. Danny just running her damn mouth again. I don't know what was worse. The fact that Danny just kept on going, or the fact that Karen had the nerve to sit up here. I will admit, I think it was Andy or one of the girls saying, girl, what are you talking about? You just jealous. Karen has the audacity to be upset at Zach because her name was never spoken. Essentially, while Zach and Fatima were seeing each other and talking, her name never came up. She doesn't want to be a nameless ex. What type of shit is this? I get it. Maybe it's because I've been single for so long. Maybe it's because without being in a relationship in so long, you know, or a breakup, I've been rejected plenty of times, but never, you know, broken up. It's like maybe I'm oblivious to or ignorant to these things, but in my opinion, let's say if I was in a relationship with somebody, let's say if it was, I'm just going to throw it out. Let's say it was like 2 years. Me and the girl were together 2 years. For one reason or another, we break up. I finally move on to someone else. Why would I bring up the name of my ex to the new girl? Make it make sense. So they drop off Danny first. And then everybody's like, hey, can you drop me off at home? Because I think, yeah, that's right. Danny didn't care because she rode over there with Sabrina, meaning that, hey, a ride home would be perfect for her because Preston's waiting for her at home anyway. So Preston's at home, and it turns out Zach is there, and Danny's just pissed off. So Danny wants him out, and Preston's like, well, he had nowhere to go. I let him in. You know, he's your friend. You know, he ate up all the dinner. We just had a good time talking. They were just being boys. My favorite characters is the episode with Preston and Zach. They were the only ones who were acting for the most part in character to an extent. They had their little moments, but at the same time, they were acting in character for the most part. It was just the characters around them treating them like shit. Basically, all the women treating Zach that way, and Danny just treating Preston bad. So I got another question for you. Zach, back in season 1, I think he paid a month's rent and the first month's basically back rent. It's like the previous month and the first month. I forgot it. I know Danny said she wanted that, but I know good and well he paid for at least 1 month of rent. Why the hell is she kicking him out? Not to mention on top of that, when she comes in the door, she immediately goes for Preston's belt. So she's up here whipping him like a slave. And I'm thinking and I tweeted this, I'm like, okay, so Danny has an issue with Preston calling her gal, but she has no problem with whipping Zach like a slave with that belt. So then Zach is just kicked out. Because remember, I feel like there was a scene that was skipped. Because there was a promotional photo that showed Fatima and Zach together. I feel like there was a scene that was skipped where we probably would have seen Zach and Fatima at Fatima's place. And then we would have seen Zach going over to Danny. So I feel like there was something that was definitely cut out of editing that definitely would have made the episode flow a little bit better. So after that, she's pissed off about Preston letting Zach into the apartment. And we're back to just this bullshit nonsense. Preston's trying to figure out what he did wrong, why she's upset. She doesn't want to hear it. So then we go over to Sabrina's house. She's sitting on her bed and she's like, oh, Calvin, why didn't you call me? Bitch, you blocked him. When you were standing in the freaking bank, you deleted his number, you blocked him and everything. So why are you expecting a phone call? She calls Jacoby. He pretty much pulls a peppermint patty and look, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, you'll get the reference. He pretty much pulled a peppermint patty and invited himself over. 15 minutes. You know, I'm not a phone person. I don't like talk. I'll be over there in 15 minutes. So she calls Danny's like, Danny, Jacoby's coming over. Basically, yeah, it's a booty call. What? Yeah, it's a booty call. That's it. She's just all flustered like a schoolgirl. So we go over to Andy's place, and I think she's talking with Karen, if I'm not mistaken. The fact that, you know, Aaron's not there. She wants to call Zach, and, you know, Andy's like, well, yeah, Gary's about to be buzzed up. Wait, I ain't going to say anything. Yeah, please don't. And then they get off the phone. Gary comes in. Look, I know like I'm breezing through some things because my notes aren't really that thorough because there's nothing to say. Everything is the same. But okay, here's the best way to describe this episode. This episode was predictable. Basically, watching this episode was seeing the characters react to things. But here's the key. How you think a character would handle a situation, they do the reverse. Essentially, they're acting extremely out of character. So Gary comes up. Gary was an asshole. He was actually well, you could argue Gary was out of character this episode because he was calm, cool, and collected for the most part. He just came in there. It's like, wait, why'd you have to be buzzed up? I thought you had a key. Well, look, I was at my hotel and like my car keys, everything was stolen, the keys. And I'm like, yeah, that's how Jasmine gets in. So he's like, hey, so you want me to move in, but what about your girls? I don't think they're going to like that. They think I'm a hot-headed, jealous, controlling, abusive asshole. Could you please not tell them everything? I'll try. You don't tell the sisters everything at all. It's like you tell Karen most of your tea, but at the same time, you lie to them and keep secrets all the time. It's only when shit hits the fan that the girls come over and then you eventually tell them everything you've been up to for several episodes. So, yeah, so they go to the back and have sex. So Jacoby comes over to Sabrina's house, and it's just this was so awkward to watch because of the fact that this was so repetitive. He wants some, she doesn't want to give it up, but he just keeps pressuring her. And I'm thinking to myself, what happened to no means no? And I'm thinking this is what happens when you're tall, dark, handsome, and you can get away with a lot of shit. You're muscular, tatted up, and you have a big dick. I know it seems weird for me to say big dick, but I recorded my episode of Ruthless Review before this, so if you watch that review, you know why big dick comes up a lot. So he starts kissing and whatnot, and he pulls out weed, and I'm like, are we really doing this? Really? Like, it was enough he came over basically on his own fruition, and he's, pretty much putting it on Sabrina. But why did he have to pull that out? I thought that was I just felt like we're just really going deep into the fact that this dude's an asshole. Because remember when Alonzo confronted Maurice for the second time in the parking lot and Maurice beat his ass? He was actually high. So I'm like, Lord, please don't let this be a situation where Jacoby takes some and, gets high and then he starts abusing Sabrina. But no, that's not what happened. So we go over to Danny with her vape pen. Preston actually went out to take out the trash. And they sit down and talk. And he apologizes, even though he has nothing to apologize for. Because like I said, with the sister coming over unannounced, yeah, I agree. That's something that he should have told Danny about. But Zach paid rent. He should be there. But it turns out he's actually paid 3 months rent. And it's like, and then she's like, let me give you some. And she's like, I don't want to be fixed. Well, I'm just trying to help you. I don't want to be helped. If I wanted help, I'll let you know. And I'm like, that's a terrible trait for anybody in relate. Look, I'm a lone wolf. I'm independent. I understand it. But at the same time, it's like, I understand that if I'm in a relationship with somebody, it's about compromise and it's about learning, growing, and changing and together for the, better. That's not to say just because a relationship is making me change that the person I'm in a relationship with doesn't like me for who I am, but I feel like it will make me realize, okay, I'm not on my own anymore. I have to compromise in terms of my time management, make time for the other person instead of just doing things on my own and just things like that. So it's like Danny is refusing. I feel like, yeah, Preston is giving far more and Danny's taking far more. It's like Danny really isn't putting much into this. They're not even a relationship, but I'll just use this term because it's the most simplistic. These two, their relationship together, Preston is the one who's doing all the work. Danny just wants him for a fuckboy. That's essentially what's going on here, if you ask me. I'm sorry, but that's honestly what it comes down to. So it turns out he jokes about his mother being here. It's like, wait, what? No, about to give me a stroke. Well, my mother wants to meet you. And then after that, we go over to Jacoby just putting it down. Sabrina's like, oh my God, it's big. So then Calvin comes and knocking. He wants to come in for a drink to, apologize and they have them talk. But he sees Jacoby behind the fridge and then he leaves. And Sabrina's like, oh no. But she's going back to that big dick. Then we get to the final scene of the episode. Andy's in bed. Jasmine breaks in. Andy's like, girl, get out of here. What are you doing? What are you doing here? I came here to finish what I started. And then she has a gun. Gary comes out of the bathroom and he's like, Jasmine, what are you doing? Get out of here. He gets shot with a couple rounds to the chest. Jasmine turns the gun on Andy. Jasmine, please don't. Please don't. And then the episode ends. Wasn't Jasmine supposed to be arrested? Is Gary dead? Is she going to shoot Andy? Was this just a nightmare? Guys, this episode was trash. This episode suffered from an identity crisis. The characters didn't know who they were because, like I said multiple times, they just weren't acting like themselves at all. The episode just kind of jump from scene to scene, and I feel like there were some things missing on the cutting room floor. It's like you have this acrimony level insanity in the cliffhanger. I feel like this episode rivals the season 1 finale of the Haves and Have-Nots in terms of being awful. What was that episode called? Was it Checkmate? When Amanda shot herself, Jim got abducted by Warlock and his crew. They had that dinner party. But the saving grace of that episode was when Quincy beat Jim's ass. But that episode was in the same vein of just being horrible, where it just had a cliffhanger ending involving a shooting. But the shooting we knew it was coming based on the previews. And the fact that it felt so shoehorned into the end, because this was like the last 15 seconds of the episode. This episode was awful. -2 out of 10, and I stand by that score. Let me know, do you think I'm being too harsh? But during the live stream last night, a lot of people agree with me that the show, yeah. Honestly, I wish the show wasn't coming back as soon as it was. What is it, like June the 9th or whatever? I think this show needs to take a little bit of a break. This is just like season 7 of the Haves and Have-Nots, where it was so god awful. But it's like, hey, guess what? We're bringing this show back sooner than expected. No. I needed like a 3-month separation from Sistas. I need a divorce from this entanglement. I just need a divorce because all these women, I just realized they have they have the man that they are hearts with, but then they have their fuck boys on the side. With Andy, it's Gary, but then Paris is the side boy. With Sabrina, it's Calvin, but Jacoby's the side boy. With Danny, it's Preston, but then you got Booty Liquor, but she kind of kicked him to the curb. And then with Danny, it's like, I mean, with Karen, it's like Zach, but then Aaron's the side boy. And it's like these women, their hearts are with one man, but then they'll go for the guy that they aren't interested in just to get some. It's just ridiculous. Okay, that's all I got to say. Like I said, I'll do follow-up videos later this week. Like season 2 breakdown, pretty much my thoughts on the season as a whole. My thoughts on where the story can go with season 3, and maybe some breakaway videos from this episode. But I don't know, guys. Like I said, yesterday I blitzed through all of my Oval content. So, all the Oval videos I need to do, they're already up on the channel. With Sisters, I need to step away for a little while. Like, maybe later this week, like I said, I'll get some stuff posted. But for now, I ain't got nothing else to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, if you'd like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. And with that being said, I'll talk to you soon.